should the USA stick with Gregg Berhalter moving forward? It's the big question already, dominating US soccer circles. What's next? And maybe who is next for the US? Berhalter's contract that he signed in 2018 took him through this World Cup. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out in the coming days and weeks. But do you feel like now is the right time to move on for US soccer from Berhalter? And, you know, would it surprise us if he walked away? Or it's obviously a kind of a dream job for any American if you're given another contract to go. You know, usually it's given a 4-year deal, right, to go to the next World Cup. So There's a World Cup on home soil coming up. That's going to be such a big prospect for any manager. But focus right now on Berhalter. Do you think now is the right time for the US to move on from him?
Yes, I do. In the sense that I think, again, I've been hypercritical of him, but I don't think he's a terrible coach or anything like that. I wanted a different taste. And I think it might be the right time for him to move on as well, because there will be clubs out there that view him as his star is higher than it's been. Maybe they didn't think the U.S. were where they were, and they see what the U.S. did against England. And he's already managed in Europe. He's done it in Columbus. And I don't know. I mean, he's 49 years old. If he sticks around another 4 years for this team in its prime at the World Cup, you have to trust that he's learned enough and gained enough wisdom to know when he's wrong. Because that's the biggest thing I took from this, is this guy always takes one more beat before he admits that, okay, my original inclination was wrong. So I like him. I like him as a manager for what he was able to do and the stabilization of the program, but he can leave now and come back in 8 years if it doesn't work for him somewhere else. And he does seem like the guy, tactics and all that, and player relationship, that wants to be doing it more often. And you need club ball for that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think you're right on sort of his star has risen during this World Cup, at least maybe not in the US, but internationally, being here in England, I see, US are a great team, such a great coach team. You got Louis van Gaal coming out and saying they're the best team as a unit in the World Cup, and how well drilled they are, and the shape, and everyone knows what they're doing in a clear playing style. So I think I wouldn't be surprised if Berhalter moves on and maybe picks up a really good job in England or in Germany somewhere, or, you know, I don't know. It's just the kind of feeling I have that maybe, what was that?
The next Watford boss?
Yeah, something like that, like a championship team who's going to come up to the Premier League. He can build something and, you know, get his message across. I do not think he's a bad coach at all. I think out wide, we saw the US dominate a lot of teams, but then against the Netherlands, they were dominated out wide. And I just don't think he has a plan B, be it for tactically during games or even with the personnel. He's not flexible enough to say we're going to play a false nine and chuck, you know. You don't have Josh Sargent, who was your first choice to go up there in the game against Iran. You had to play because he's injured. You don't have to replace him with another number 9 just because you have one. You can change things up and be more flexible. And I think that is the one criticism of Gregg Berhalter, is that he kind of picks unnecessary battles, being it with Gio Reyna or just the centre-back situations.
Well, that's it. So, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you said it. Now I needed to jump into this part of it, because I would probably, I know this sounds silly, but Gio Reyna is 19. He's the son of program royalty on one side, at both sides of his family, actually. And were those little whispers we heard during the group stage about discontent and players wondering why he wasn't out there? Is that true? Because injuries aside, one of the 3 or 4 guys I would bet on being at the 2026 World Cup is Gio Reyna. And if you have done anything wrong with that relationship, then maybe that could be a tipping point. I know that sounds silly, but Reyna is that good. You have people saying that by the time he's Pulisic's age, he might have passed what Pulisic's doing. And that's unheard of.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, what are some of the reasons to keep Berhalter on? We talked a lot about maybe a good time to move on and tactically some of the issues, but, you know, we have to remember they didn't get to the World Cup in 2018, basically built the program back up from scratch. Obviously, the talent pool has been excellent, but we kind of have to salute the stability he's given the US national team, got to a World Cup, and then I think he did exactly the job that was asked of him with the group of players that he had. I don't think they could have done much more than get out of the group and have a good showing in the last 16, which they did for large parts of that game against the Netherlands. So Are there some reasons that you would keep him on?
There are. I mean, I would say to that point that you made, that's the difference again between, that's why our grades are different, is we have different expectations. I think they were capable of beating a legacy program like the Netherlands, who is not at their full legacy potential. That it was there for them today. Gregg Berhalter literally threw away the first half of the game by starting Jesus Ferreira. There were so many times when you watched that back, and I watched the first 10 minutes back to see if I was being too harsh. And there were so many times where the play is converging, moving towards him, and Ferreira's a little late to go. I don't think he's a bad player either, but he's young. He hasn't played in a month and a half, and the strikers need to be ready to go. And if you couldn't use Sargent, use Wright, but I think the answer was there all along in Tim Weah. So fast, and having Weah, having that back line, Timber, is the most important one to trouble, because it's funny. Nathan Ake can be a little bit shaky. I almost said Ake can be shaky. Van Dijk, we know, is a step slow, but Timber is entering his prime. And if you want to challenge him on that side, you need guys moving and cutting in and cutting out. Aronson might have drawn a red card because everyone hates playing against him too. So for me, they threw away the first half of a knockout round game, but reasons to keep him. If you assume that he's well liked, which I think you can assume, the system is right. The system can succeed. We haven't seen it with a number 9. They can still grow a number 9. Who knows? Maybe the genealogy people are out there trying to find out who's the best striker in Europe, who's uncommitted and has American bloodlines. But the system, you're right, it wasn't bad. You can do worse than Gregg Berhalter. I just want him to do better.
Yeah, it felt like at times it's weird. It was half the time it felt like the way he set the team up was getting the best and the maximum out of this group of players, and half the time it felt like he was holding them back a little bit and not having the right players out there really thwarted this team from being a great attacking threat as well as they were in midfield and creating. So I think it's really on the flip of a coin. And if you think about the US Soccer Federation, do they want stability? And a guy that I know can, if they don't qualify automatically, can probably get them through qualifying and can lead them through a group stage because he's done it at the last World Cup. I'm just thinking of how he's going to stack up his arguments when it comes to the contract talks.
Yeah, but Joe, couldn't they use...
How ambitious do they have to be as a program, right, Nick? That's the thing.
I think this goes almost beyond that. I don't think they have to be super ambitious, but it would do a lot of good for them and the reputation of the federation if they went through an interview process with more than 2 people. This is new leaders picking the guys, and that's nothing against. Again, Berhalter could come back the way that they brought Bruce Arena back. If they need that in 6-8 years, and they brought Gregg Berhalter back, I'd be like, all right, this can steady the ship. I would like it better than doing it with Arena.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think now that, like I said before, the pull of taking a US team to a World Cup on home soil in 2026, that is going to appeal to a lot of managers that maybe would have looked the other way in the past. You know what I'm saying? They want to be the hero, the center of attention for all those years building up to a World Cup.
Jose Mourinho is what you're saying.
Hey, you said it here. I feel like this is written in the stars for him to do that. So, hey, maybe him, Antonio Conte, Tommy Tuchel, Jesse Marsh is probably the most obvious choice by that point. So, Jim Curtin, Philadelphia Union, did a great job. But we're going to have something on this on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com in the coming days, looking at the potential candidates to replace Gregg Berhalter, analysing his time in charge of the US national team so far. So head over to the site, and there's going to be a lot of fallout after the World Cup exit for Gregg Berhalter and his very young US team. We have to remember that.